All right, so today we are doing 5-2, solving system of equations by substitution. For you guys, period 5, tonight's homework is page 245. Do not look on the board. You're doing page 245, 1 through 29 odd. Okay? 245, 1 through 29 odd. Am I clear? Okay, it is not online, so please write it down. All right, so today we are solving system of linear equations by using a method called substitution. We can use substitution method if we have a variable alone. So for instance, y equals 2x, y is alone. So I have my two equations, and what I can do, since y is equal to 2x, I can substitute 2x in for the y. Okay, isn't y equivalent to y? So we can substitute in 2x for y. Now what I have is 3x equals 6. We're dividing both sides by 3. And what we've done by substituting is to eliminate one of the variables and solve for the other variable. Okay, x equals 2. Once I know that x equals 2, I can figure out what y equals. We're writing this whole example. Okay, I substitute in to either original equation, either one. Which one looks easier to substitute in for? Y equals 2x. So we substitute in there, and I get y equals 4. Am I done?
No. Nope.
What do I need to do, Chris?
We gotta get the points, so we got x and y, which is part of the solution, where they intersect. So,
What is it?
y, so 2, 4.
2, 4 is the solution to the system, is how you would answer that. 2, 4 is the solution to the system. Questions? Okay. All right, now if you substitute both those back in, you can check it. So 2 times 2 is equal to the y, which is 4. And 2 plus 4 equals 6. So they work in both equations. All right, so if I'm doing, you don't have to write this part. You write the second half. If I'm doing the graphing method, then, you know, first of all, it's timely. And secondly, it's not that efficient. So look at the situation here. The first equation, remember we always have to identify our m and our b. My m is 1, my b is -1. I start at the y-intercept and I rise over run to the next few points. Do the same thing for the other equations, but I have to get the y alone first. Okay, subtract x, divide all terms by 3. My m is 4. My b is 4, and my m is -1/3. So I start at +4. I'm going to rise -1, down 1, run to the right, 3. +3. -1, +3. Or +1, -3. Draw the line. Now, what's my solution? Okay, hike. It's not that clear. Why?
Because it's not like on a line.
It's not at the intersection of two boxes. So, graphing method is not an efficient method. So that's why we go to things like the substitution or elimination method. It's about 4.4, but it's not exactly. So if I do substitution, notice my y is alone, so I can substitute the entire quantity x minus 1 for the y. And over here it says 3y, which means 3 times y, so 3 times the quantity of x minus 1 is what I substitute in. Now this part you can write. So I get x times x plus 3 times the quantity of x minus 1 equals 12. I distribute, I get 4x minus 3 equals 12. Add 3 to both sides. 4x equals 15. Divide both sides by 4. I can do one of two things. Keep it as an improper or convert it to a decimal. Whatever you're comfortable with. Don't ask me how I want it. I don't want to hear that question in algebra. Fractions and decimals are the same. I only ask that you always give me a reduced improper or reduced fraction. Okay? Or decimal. But if you give it to me in fraction form, it should be reduced improper or reduced fraction. So now I can substitute either 15/4 in for the x or 3 75/100. 3 75/100 makes it nice and easy. What would my y be? John?
2 75/100.
2 75/100. So what is the solution to the system? Ian?
2.75.
The solution to the system.
Oh, sorry. 3.75, 2.7.
Okay, and we like to say the decimals properly. 2 75/100, comma, 3 and, the decimal we read and, 75/100. Oh, sorry, whoops, the other way around.
Yeah.
Sorry, 3 75/100, comma, 2 75/100. Please make sure, remember, we've got our x there, so that's the first point. But saying the decimals properly so that your geometry teacher, a person who shall remain nameless, will not have your head when you are in 8th grade or 7th grade geometry discussing decimals like that. Okay? All right, questions? Yes. Okay, what do we do next? What do you think we do first? I'm sorry, not next, but first, Caleb.
We can, right, well, we could substitute for the x instead of the y.
We can substitute for the x. We don't have to. 2 classes have said to me, get the y alone. We don't have to get y alone. We have a variable alone. If a variable is alone, we use it. Let's substitute in for x. I'm substituting in the 3y for the x. And now what I get is 2y minus 12y equals 5, which is 10y equals 5. Divide both sides by negative 10. And y is equal to 1/2.
Negative.
Negative 1/2. You're right. Now we substitute in to either original and we get x equals 3 times negative 1/2 is what?
Negative 3 over 2, negative 1/2.
Good. And we get negative 3 over 2. The solution is negative 3/2, comma, negative 1/2. Questions? Okay, so next one. Neither variable is alone, so what do you think we do?
Alright, you have to isolate a variable.
Now, which is the easiest of all the variables, Daniel, to get alone?
The x in the first equation.
The x in the first equation. Why?
Because there's no coefficient.
There's no coefficient to x. So we're just going to get x alone because there's no coefficient. I mean, we can still do it if they all have coefficients. I'd probably use a different method. But for now, all you know is this method. Okay. So we're going to get x alone. We're subtracting x. I'm sorry, subtracting 2y. X equals negative 2y plus 5. Yes?
Wouldn't it just be easier to multiply the top equation by 2?
Nope. We're not doing that today, are we? So this is solely the method. Today's a method day. This is solely the method. It's not on what's easier, it's on what method, and we're using substitution. It's not an option. So we're substituting in, and then I double distribute, combine my like terms, subtract 10. I get a lot of people that say y equals negative 3. But what's going on here? Platty?
You have to divide both sides by negative.
Divide both sides by negative 1 or multiply both sides by negative 1, and we end up with y equals 3. And now we can go back to either original equation or the new modified, because isn't this x equals negative 2y plus 5 the same thing as 2y plus 5 equals 5? 2y plus x equals 5. So I'm going to just substitute it right in there, because it's the same thing as that original equation, 2y plus x equals 5. Now we get, what are we getting? Kate? We get negative 6 plus 5 is negative 1. And so, my solution, David? Negative 1 comma 3 is the solution to the system. Questions? Okay. Hardest possible scenario would be when both have coefficients and you get one alone. Can I skip this one? This is pretty similar. Just make sure and get rid of that negative at y, because sometimes my kids think y is equal to negative 2x plus 6. So we have to just make sure you get y alone all the way. It really has a coefficient of negative 1. And then we're substituting in. It's going to be a big, nasty fraction problem. I can substitute that into either original equation or the modified, because remember, this equation is the same thing as this. 2 times 29 elevenths minus 6 equals 54 elevenths minus 66 elevenths, and we end up with negative 8 elevenths. Yes?
Why negative 66?
Because I need something with a denominator of 11. You can't add and subtract without a common denominator. So if I multiply this by 11, I got to multiply the top by 11. 11 times what equals 11? 11. So 11, let me show you. Remember, if I'm looking for, this is the same thing as over 1. So what do I need to make this 11 in the denominator? I have to multiply it by 11. Here I have to multiply it by 11 too. So that becomes 66 over 11. I'm really just multiplying by this fancy 1 so that I could have a common denominator. Okay, questions? Okay, moving on. So now we are moving on to the chatty phone charges a flat monthly fee of $20 plus 8 cents a minute. Telco charges $14 plus 10 cents a minute. When do they charge the same? Step 1, word problem, what do we do? Derek. Gabby.
Do you write inequality?
No.
Write an equation. I'm sorry, write an equation for that.
Okay, but before we write the equation, what must we always do with the word problem? Leora?
Make sense of it?
Okay, yeah?
Identify your unknown.
Thank you for making that habitual. Always the first step. So, what are my unknowns? And not just identify, but define them. We need to say x equals, y equals, a word. What are my unknowns? Okay, Leora?
Y equals monthly
No, I said, okay, what is y?
monthly fee,
Okay, or cost.
and then x equals cents per minute, or minute.
Minutes. Now, you have to ask yourself, what depends on the other? Yes.
Cost depends on
Cost depends on minutes. So cost is my y. The depender is always the y. And we said x is our minutes. Good. Now let's write the equations. I've got one equation right here. Caleb?
Y equals 8m or 8x plus 20.
Y equals 8x. 8x plus 20. Is this accurate?
No.
Wait. 8 tenths x? Ah, yes. Remember, it's change, and it's 8 cents, so that's 8 pennies out of 100. 8 cents is 8 hundredths. 0.8 would be 80 cents, so be careful of that. Okay? So it's 20 plus 8 hundredths x for the chatty company. And what would the telco company be, Julian?
Y equals $14 plus
0.10 what? X. Yes, you can't forget that. And we can even leave that 0 off on the end. Okay, so now we are going to solve it. They're asking us, when do they charge the same? What could I do? Think about the chapter we're on. Ian.
You could substitute one equation into the other.
Right. The y's are equivalent, so I can take either one and substitute it for a y. And what they're asking is, when do they charge the same? Yes.
What do you mean the y's are equivalent?
Well, y equals this and y equals this, so can't we say that they're both equivalent? Both chunks are equivalent, both expressions are equivalent to each other. Now, personally, I would clear my fractions. My PowerPoint doesn't do that, so I'll do it here. I would clear the decimal, or fraction, and multiply by 100, so I get 2,000 plus 8x equals 1,400 plus 10x. Subtract 8x, add 1,400, nope, subtract 1,400, sorry, and I get 600 equals 2x, divide by 2, x equals 300. What does that mean, please? What does that mean? McRitchie.
They will be the same cost at 300 minutes.
Perfect. They will cost the same at 300 minutes. What is that? What if they want to know what is the same amount? How could I figure that out? John.
At 300 minutes of calling, they're gonna have the same price.
I said, what if I want to know what the price is at 300 minutes?
You just substitute 300 for x in the equation.
Good. And I would probably go about substituting it in this one. So y equals 14 plus 0 and 1/10 times 300. This makes it really easy. Y equals 14 plus 30, which means y equals 44. Okay, and so at 300 minutes, it costs $44 for both companies. Questions? All right, so that's basically it. We'll go through some word problems a little bit later, but that's it for tonight. All right, that's the end of the video. Yes.